NPC reviews. We were going to do a video today, but never mind. Video's over. Bye. Oh, hey Dad. Going to review it, but Cloaky decided he needs some alone time. Yeah, he always gets that way whenever he watches a Ryan Reynolds movie. Like what? Well, RPGs were going to be in the lineup, amongst other things. Yeah, but I kind of want to co-host.
Oh, hi there, hey there, DM, how's it going? Let me think about that. No. You have a very colorful vocabulary. I'll see if I can squeeze it in. Hey, Ted. Thanks, Dad. So, what exactly are we reviewing?
The Cortex Role Playing Game.
Well, could be worse. I could have to roll for anal circumference.
Haha! The Cortex Role Playing Game is based off the Sovereign Stone system, which was adapted in 2005 to the Serenity Role Playing Game.
Too good to last.
Which was based off both the movie and the series of Firefly. From there, it was adapted to Battlestar Galactica, the new one, not the old one.
Too bad to die.
From there, it became the general system that we're reviewing today. And from there further, it branched out into a host of other games, including Supernatural, Demon Hunters, and other such things.
With the exception of the second one, proving that taste is not essential to role-playing. Eventually, the Serenity role-playing game was readapted to be more aligned with the more recent system, mostly due to the massive overhauls that had occurred over the several transitions that had occurred. Confucius say, journey of 1,000 steps begins with one. Purple Ninja say, one step results in being impaled by a giant demon.
The basic mechanic for the Cortex role-playing game is actually fairly simple. You have an attribute die and a skill die. You roll them both and try to hit a target number. Interestingly enough, no one attribute and skill are married to each other. It can vary by situation and thus meet any situation you might need. Additionally, you add trait bonuses or penalties based off circumstantial modifiers as well as traits and assets and complications. And now for something a bit more complicated. Ted?
Okay, folks, we are going to do some effective narrative statistical probability course. A normal die has what is called a normal distribution. There is an equal possibility of rolling any one possibility on that die. If you have a 12-sided die, it means that you have an equal possibility, 1 in 12, of getting any number between 1 and 12. Yeah, let's see, we're assuming that you're going to follow this far, because I'm not stopping. Next up is the promise die that the moment you take into consideration rolling 2 dice at once, say, I don't know, having a d6 skill combined with a d6 attribute, things get a bit wonky, because there is no longer a normal distribution. Instead, you have what is called a standard distribution, or a bell curve. I'm trying to figure out any of these probabilities, it's best to do in the program for it.
It's all very confusing. However, despite this minor hiccup in the statistics of the game, it's actually been shown to be easy to get past. No real special, you just roll and it's easy to get used to. This both from personal experience and the experience of other many gamers that I've encountered. Next, in this particular section, we have the plot points. The plot points are what differentiates a PC from everybody else in the setting. It's what allows the heroes to warp probability in the cinematics around them to be able to pull off their heroic feats. You spend a plot point, or plot points, to gain either an additional die onto your die roll, or a straight numerical value. Whether or not it is one or the other depends on whether or not you're spending the plot points before or after the die roll. Adding die before the die roll, adding straight numerical values after the die roll. Plot points can also be used or improved depending on what traits or complications you take. Additionally, specific settings, a la Demon Hunters, have certain other uses for plot points. Essentially, it is,
well, the power of plot. They can come across as anything from certain, bursts of courage or competence, suddenly realizing years of training, or just pulling something square out of your ass.
Like believing in the heart of the cards, for instance. So, let's see how Cloaky's doing.
Another version of me. Is she perverted like me? Will she go down on you in a theater?
Why the hell do you have microphones in your shower?
Why wouldn't I have microphones in the shower?
Moving right along.
And now on to character creation.
Okay, you have 3 separate point pools. 1 point pool for skills, 1 for attributes, and 1 for traits.
Which consist of assets and complications.
Note, at first level, or rather at the beginning of the game, because this system does not have levels, you're required to take complications in order to get assets.
Now, in regards to what the dice numbers mean, a d6 in attributes basically represents the human average. You, me, the guy over there, and, well,
maybe you.
Ha ha. Wait, what does that mean?
Oh, nothing. We'll come back to it later.
Okay. And in regards to skills, D6 basically represents the professional average. You need this much to be a professional in said skill. Beyond the D6 in skills, however, you start buying specialties, with a D8 starting at a D2 and going up from there. So if you bought a D6 in medical with a D12 surgery, that's 12 points altogether, and it forms a tree, which means you don't have to start at the D6 level again to get other specialties. Now, particular note is the fact that this goes even number to even number. So you spend 2 points to get a D2, you spend a D6, or you spend 6 to get a D6. There are no odd numbers.
Unless your GM's being a prick.
Of particular notes about the traits is that the traits give you, your bonuses and your values and so forth, but they also represent role-playing aspects of your character, which means to make a character, you already have to have an idea of what the character is. Is he a smart alecky, gun-shooting nut? In which case, there are traits and complications for that.
Doesn't that kind of go without saying, given the fact that this is a point-buy system? I mean, if you don't have an idea what a point-buy system, what you end up with is a horrible hodgepodge created by min-maxers. What?
The thing about traits is that they can add additional dice onto your attribute and skill rolls, or they can just grant a flat-out effect. It varies from trait to trait, of course.
Psychic powers, magic, whatever.
We'll get more into that later. A final note, however, are races. In fantasy and sci-fi, you might not want to play your average Joe Blow human. However, human, as in many games, is the average, the baseline, etc. To represent races other than human, you can compile them into groupings of assets and complications, usually equaling 0, or sometimes equaling 0, but can range from D6 to D8. If you're getting above D12 and plus, the race is particularly powerful and might eat up a lot of your points, because at the beginning, at character creation, you can only have up to 30 points in complications, thus only 30 points in assets.
Is he still in the shower?
Now let's check.
Cloaky like Asians.
What was that?
Hey, Ted like Asians too.
Moving on. Next is content and running the game. Normally, these would be 2 separate sections, but considering the nature of this particular system, we ended up lumping them into one for this particular review. Basically, for this game, it's what it says on the book. Your story, Cortex rules.
This means, folks, that if you're not planning on putting in a lot of effort into creating a story for this game, you might want to start looking for other systems.
Now, this isn't as arduous as Ted would have you believe. Basically, any role-playing game involves effort from the DM, or GM, to make an interesting story. So it can actually flow naturally, depending on, well, whether or not you're the player or the DM, and how good of a DM you are. Or GM, sorry. I keep getting that mixed up. Now, the Cortex system can handle anything from a fantasy to sci-fi to a low-powered superhero game. More specifically in the GMing section, it also gives advice on how to run fantasy, sci-fi, and even courtroom drama.
Single female lawyer!
Additionally, it gives you advice on such things as mood music, as well as media to refer to get ideas or how to help structure things, including movies, TV, and books.
You know, because inspiration means the fact that you're able to rip them off wholesale.
Next, to window dressing.
Basically, the idea of window dressing is the idea that any given ability doesn't really have context until you give it context. This means the fact that psychic powers could also be used to represent magic powers, could be used to represent mutant powers, etc., etc., etc.
Basically, some of the specific window dressing that they give in the book is magic, psychic powers, meta talents, a la Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or people who do fancy things with bullets, including cybernetics and other wonderful little tidbits. To help get this whole started, they give you 3 sample sections in the back of the book, including Arcady, which is Southern Gothic fantasy. It's not your traditional fantasy. Think tricorn hats, muskets, and magic. After that, they give you Star of the Guardians. Think way future, ancient bloodlines, superior humans, and laser swords. And then after that, they give you Trace, which is basically courtroom drama as well as forensic drama. It can go from to long.
In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
In conclusion, it's a very well-written game. It's written by geeks for geeks. There are all kinds of references, from positronic brains to alien sonic tools. It's even written with a lot of wit, dry wit even. For instance,
Amnesia, D4, D8. You are missing a chunk of your memory. At the D4 level, it means you are missing a significant block of time, perhaps months or even years, but you still know who you are and remember most of your life, with the lost time a complete blank. At D8, this trait means you have total amnesia, not having a clue about your real name unless someone who knows you tells you. And you can't remember anything beyond little feelings urged by memory triggers. You possess all of your skills, blah 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 blah. Note, if you take this trait, you are just asking for the Game Master to screw with you. Even if you decide an explanation of your character's amnesia, that is only what your character believes happens. The Game Master can weave your problem into the story however he sees fit, and you're not allowed to whine about it. You've been warned.
at the end of it, it's a good, simple system, good for most any kind of game you want to run. Also, it's a bit cheaper than other games of its ilk, and it comes with a free PDF. Ultimately, we give this game
4.5 out of 5. Well, that was a massive waste of time. Now this is over with, mind if I check out your library?
Sure, what do you need?
Something in the Forbidden Tome section?
Oh, you mean the naughty section?
Yeah, the naughty section.
What do you need there?
I'm, researching countermeasures.
Okay. See you, everybody. Hopefully next time we'll get to Louis the Rune Soldier.
Yeah. How the hell did he do that? Let's see here. Book of Eternal Darkness. 1001 Things You Never Want to Know About Sauron. Demons, Infernals, and Politicians. No. There we go. Seances and Summonings for Morons.
What are you doing? This is my alone time.